this is Horror Sucks, the podcast where we watch horror movies and tell you why they suck. I'm Ashley Atkins, and I'm having a rough day.
You've been having a rough, 2 weeks.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is it.
Hopefully this is the end of it. I'm Carter Rhodes, and this is my birthday, kind of. We, as a tradition, do a birthday episode. I believe the first one we did was right after your birthday, wasn't it? So you didn't get a birthday episode the first time around?
No, the first episode we did was yours. It was the Scooby-Doo one.
The first birthday episode we did. But I mean, the first Horror Sucks episode, wasn't that around your birthday?
It was in March.
I think we didn't do one for your birthday, for whatever reason. But
I had a birthday episode.
But
it got pushed back for a while because my birthday's in October. So it was a million horror movies in theaters that you were like, we're going to have to push your birthday back.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Middle to end of November.
To be fair, though, that was the smart move with our views.
I know.
But it was a bummer. So we like to do a birthday episode where we grant each other the same leniency presenting a horror movie as we do our guests. And this year, I decided to do Final Destination because I knew Ashley was kind of having a tough week and wanted a nice, breezy little movie to get through. Didn't think we needed to do anything by John Carpenter or
we could have done something by John Carpenter.
It would have been pretty intense.
This is a good choice.
Yeah. I wanted something a little lighter. So
that's fair.
I went with Final Destination. Last year, we did Scooby-Doo Zombie Island, and that was a really good episode. I recommend it.
Yeah. I've been told that's one of our top 10.
Mm-hmm.
It was a while ago, but so. Yeah. This is also 2 weeks after Carter's birthday by the time this... Well, we're recording it 1 week.
Yes.
Releasing it 2 weeks after Carter's birthday. Also, Carter has to edit his birthday episode.
That's true, yeah.
Rip. So, did you mention what movie we're watching?
I don't know if I did. We are watching Final Destination. Those of you unfamiliar with Final Destination might know it as the movie in which people die in those weird ways. It was kind of like, I want to say Saw before Saw, but it actually might have been...
What year did Saw come out?
I want to say 2003.
Oh, this one came out first.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it wasn't great. Anyway... I always had a special place in my heart, though, and I remember one morning I woke up, probably hungover, just statistically speaking, and just didn't feel like getting out of bed, so the entire day, and yes, I'm fully aware this is a symptom of depression. I spent the entire day lying in bed watching the entirety of the Final Destination franchise.
Honestly, I can see this being good back-to-back. Based on the first one. But I feel like after finishing, I was like, yeah, I can watch the second.
It's really nice because it's a very clear increase in quality. Each one, the effects are noticeably better than the movie before.
Incredible.
So it is really nice to see that. The actors become more notable, culminating in Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Who's that?
Ramona Flowers.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and also she was the main character in the Thing 2011 remake, which was pretty bad. She was also in 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't know why we're talking about Mary Elizabeth Winstead when she was not in this movie. We are reviewing the original, and Ashley, do you want to tell them how our podcast works?
Absolutely. So how this works is that Carter and I watch a horror movie every week and then we review it. So we start off with the plot. This week will be given by Carter. And then some fun facts from me. Then we break it down in the good, the bad, and the spooky and finish off with our overall impressions, the Ralph Bones Memorial Line highlight, and then a rating from each of us. And that's it.
So, I am going to take it away with the plot. Buckle up, guys, because this one is a real Christopher Nolan-esque, just suspense, psychological. You're not going to know which way is up. So the movie follows Alex Browning, played by Devon Sawa in pre-9/11 America, and he is going on a trip to France with his school, with his French class specifically. And by the way, the reason I bring up 9/11 is because the movie, like, explicitly, first of all, takes place in the year 2000, takes off from JFK Airport. So, like, you're thinking about planes in New York literally from the moment this movie starts. Anyway, so Alex is just kind of having a bad morning. He sees all these, like, I don't even know what to call them, signs, basically. It's just, like, pretty much just picking up on bad vibes everywhere. Like, he kind of just looks, I don't know what you'd call it. It's not really an omen if you just look at a sign that says, like, departed or terminal. But he was doing that and just kind of feeling the vibes. And when he gets on the airplane, he has this premonition of the plane taking off and being destroyed moments after takeoff. Just fiery explosion. So he has what's obviously an early 2000s understanding of a panic attack and just kind of freaks out. His rival, Carter Horton, Carter's girlfriend, Terry, Alex's best friend, Todd, Billy Hitchcock, played by Sean William Scott, and Clear Rivers and a teacher. You know what? Fuck it. Just a group of people. You don't need to know. Most of them are dead by the time I even get around to a first name basis. So a group of people in the scuffle are kicked off the plane. And so they're pissed because they're missing their chance to go to France when all of a sudden the plane explodes. So he was right. 2 FBI agents, Wine and Shrek, those are their names, go and investigate, but, you know, there's nothing to find. He just magically decided the plane was going to blow up. At one point, I think they come to the conclusion that he must be God, which I think is hilarious because it was logical. It's like he keeps saying these things will happen, and they do. So there's a while later, Todd is in the bath, just shaving, pooping, the usual. There is a scene in which he poops. That wasn't out of the blue.
No, it's... He does actively sit on the toilet.
Yep. He pulls his pants down and sits on the toilet. Yep.
Thank you.
You see his butt. So a chain reaction in which a faucet leaks water and he is cleaning laundry or something that was hung up on a clothesline. Long story short, he slips, it wraps around his throat, and it chokes him. And the death is ruled a suicide, but Alex doesn't believe it because they were just talking about going on a road trip from... I'm pretty sure they were, like, just outside of New York. They were within 100 miles of New York. And they're like, let's go on a road trip to the city and catch a Yanks game. And I'm like, only someone who doesn't live in the New England area would think that. It's never a road trip to New York from pretty much anywhere in New England.
They're in New York.
Yeah.
It'd be like me going, hey, let's go on a road trip to Boston.
Yeah. It's possible they were in New Jersey or Connecticut, but they were clearly in the like, tri-state area.
I'm pretty sure it's a teens from New York state, like from Upper New York or something.
It's not important.
Whatever.
But anyway.
Even still.
So Alex is like, there's no way he would kill himself. We were going to watch the big Yanks game after our long road trip cross country to Big Apple. And, you know, taking photos by Times Square and all of that. So they sneak in. Oh, by the way, he meets, like, this girl immediately becomes his girlfriend. Clear, not Claire, Clear. She was on the plane with him and kind of just picked up on his bad vibes. And despite having no connection to him or anyone kicked off, she got off as well. So she and him sneak into the morgue, I want to call it, funeral home, and they meet.
It was definitely a morgue.
And they meet the Candyman, just some random dude named William Bloodworth, who
It was incredibly weird.
in a past life played Candyman in the original Candyman.
For sure.
But he is sunk low by the early 2000s, and he kind of acts as like the closest thing this movie has to a villain, because I'll get to it,
I guess.
Anyway, he explains that the flight was Death's plan. He had a plan for everyone to die, and for whatever reason, Alex's vision seems to have picked up on that, and he used it to escape Death's plan. But that doesn't mean that Death has given up. Now he's still going through, still trying to make sure everyone who was supposed to die dies, and they're still on the list. So they're like, let's figure this out over a coffee. And they just go and sit in the town square. And long story short, there's like a reunion. The survivors just driving by decide to stop and yell at them. And Terry... Oh, by the way, Alex is picking up on this ability he seems to have of seeing when death is going to strike. It's not perfect, but for example, when he saw when Todd died, he was reading a like USA Today or something, and the paper got ripped and it just said Todd, T-O-D on it. So he's like, I think I can a little bit predict it. And he's seeing like shadows of buses and stuff. And he's like, I think the next thing is going to be a bus. And all of a sudden, Terry's just hit by a bus, killed instantly.
It was pretty incredible.
Yep. It kind of just jump cuts to him, like, just watching TV that night, drinking Alka-Seltzer. and
I don't understand why he was drinking Alka-Seltzer.
Him and Clear were drinking Alka-Seltzer.
It had to be product placement, but it threw me for sure.
I mean, I guess my tummy would be upset after seeing that. But anyway, Alex is watching the news report where they're analyzing how the plane went down, and he realizes that the order in which his friends are dying corresponds to the order in which the fuel line ruptured, and the order they would have died had they actually been in the plane. So he realizes that Miss Luton, the teacher, she is next. And through a series of wacky delays, he doesn't get to her in time, and she is killed by... Let me think. Why does she put the towel on the knives?
I think she just threw it there while she was cooking. But there was a moment where there was like fire and that was in the house. Like,
so I think I remember it. So
okay.
She, for whatever reason, puts a towel on top of her knife block.
Yeah.
And then starts cooking her tea.
Yes.
She pours it into a mug and then freaks out because it has a school logo on it, even though she's a teacher. I bet you anything that all of her clothes have that. And she's like, you're just being paranoid. Let me pour some ice cold vodka in that mug. And those of you who have worked in restaurants know that if you take something that's hot and put something that's cold in it, usually it's glass. I guess conceivably it could happen with ceramic. It breaks. So it like cracks and starts leaking vodka everywhere. Then she goes to her like Windows 98 computer with the massive monitor and sets her mug on it, and it drips vodka in it, and that ignites the computer, and it explodes and shoots a shard of glass in her neck.
Yes.
So she starts stumbling around, and then the fire
starts kind of like burning the trail of alcohol.
Yeah. Again, that's not scientifically accurate, I don't think.
You never had a science teacher pour alcohol on a desktop and then light it on fire?
But that's like, it's not for human consumption.
That's fair.
It has to be, I believe, 58-ish% alcohol by volume to ignite. Otherwise, it won't catch on fire.
I don't
And
know.
then the reason why in restaurants, I believe, you see, like, they pour whiskey or something into a pan and ignite it is because the alcohol is vaporizing.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that you can just light vodka. Let's just pretend that she had some extra strong vodka.
Yeah.
Because I know I have a bottle of something flammable, I think.
Oh, for sure. There is at
Kate
least
left me a bottle of, like, Irish gunpowder gin, so that I know is a fire
one
hazard.
thing, if not more, is extremely flammable. On that
Oh,
shelf.
right, and the absinthe.
Of
That's for
course.
sure.
Oh, yes. Right, you're right. Can't believe we forgot about that.
So I've been nitpicking this for too long. There's plenty of bad to go. So she ends up stumbling on fire for some reason and then falls over and isn't on fire. And she's like, you know what I need? I need this rag to help stop the bleeding. And then she pulls it out and a knife falls in her chest. And then all the fire served to do was like knock over a table, which then pushed the knife in. Fire had very little to do with this.
Yeah. I think she, like, got burnt a little. She, like, burnt the arm of her shirt, and then it just stopped burning.
Mm-hmm. So he, like, naturally, like an idiot, grabs the knife.
Alex.
Yeah.
Alex ran in after this happened.
And, like, runs off. So everyone thinks he did it because his fingerprints are on the knife, and she clearly, like, her house burned down. It was
like,
clearly a murder arson.
He grabs the knife, freeze frames holding it as if he just stabbed her.
I literally
And-
thought the cops were about to kick down the door and see him like
I
that.
also thought that. I was like, ooh, this would be pretty interesting.
So this is around the point where I realize truly in my heart that it does not get better. That the movie really gets worse from there. So he's on the run, and let's see, Clear reunites the survivors, and they kind of tell them everything. And Carter's driving his super cool car. He is bummed about his girlfriend dying, and bummed about the fact that he's next.
But not according to him, though, because he's in control.
Yeah, so he's like, all right, well, I'm going to die. I'd like to have a little bit of control. So he starts driving erratically, and it culminates in him. He finally stops the car on the train tracks, and they get out. But he stays in there, and eventually he almost died. Just the most pathetic little bitch death I can think of. He was
Getting
like,
hit by a train?
no, well, he's like, yeah, I'm taking my destiny into control, and then
Just
they convince
sits
him
there.
not to. Like, help! I don't want to die.
You're right.
I'm like, that's just the worst way to go. Commit to it or get out, but that, like, stoic until seconds and then crying is just bad.
So you're saying if you were like, yeah, I'm in charge of my own death, and then you were like, actually, JK, but then, like, couldn't leave, like,
You
you would just be like, all right, this is my fate, I accept it, train, here we go.
knowing me, if I was smart enough, I'd go like ruh-roh.
You're right.
But knowing me, I'd probably just go, oh, and that'd be my last word.
You're right. You would just kind of accept it.
But he went to pleading for his life real fast. It was kind of sad.
And I'm sorry, like, listen, if you were on the tracks and you couldn't get out, if the train was that close, I would not be going on the tracks.
Yeah. So, anyway, he's like seconds from getting hit, but Alex, the hero, pulls him out of the car.
BS, by the way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
The angle he was pulling was absurd. There was no way.
Also, there's no way, like, he got him out of the car, but there's no way they didn't get hit by the train.
Yeah.
Like, where they landed off the tracks was way too far away. Insane.
So then Billy is like, oh man, I might be about to die, but so long as you're alive, I'm safe. And when that happens, a piece of shrapnel from the car that when the train hit it flies off and decapitates him. And that's when Alex concludes that because he interfered with Carter's death, it skipped to the next person. So Alex is next. And he just goes to this fortified cabin and really just does nothing. Just takes a chill pill. It really, really, like, trivializes the fact that death as a concept is coming for him. He's, like, wearing gloves to open a can that he's eating raw.
Doesn't want to cut his fingers.
It's just, like, the fact they're making jokes about it immediately makes it less scary.
Yeah.
So he's just chilling all day, and he eventually realizes that in his premonition, he switched seats with two of the girls to sit next to Todd. So what his ticket said was not where he was sitting, and so he would have died, I don't know, last? That doesn't make a ton of sense. Oh, wait, yeah, it does. Just because we saw him live the longest in the premonition. Anyway, so he realizes that Clear is actually next, not him. So he rushes to her house. Wine and Shrek are chasing him. They don't play a role for the rest of the movie. And Claire, God, what a fucking Rube Goldberg of a thing she had. She was nice and safe in her home, and then a power line came out, and her dog, like an idiot, tried to bite it, so she had to run outside and help the dog. And then her above-ground pool exploded, so there's water everywhere and electricity. So she climbs up to the top of her, into her room, and then blah, blah, blah. She ends up in the garage, by the way. For those of you who are paying attention, during the blah, 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 she went from the top floor to the garage. That's how long her process was. And, since there's no electricity, she has to drive through the door and she gets stuck. And there's her gas thing under the car because she's a welder. I don't know if I mentioned that. But Alex arrives in time as the gas thing is igniting. He's like, "It's gonna kill you." So he grabs the cable off the car, allowing her to escape. And so he saves her. 6 months later, all three of them are alive, and they go to Paris. And they're kind of just talking about how weird it has all been. And Alex reveals that he hasn't been able to let it go. And he's like, "There's something that's been bothering me. He's like, I saved Carter, so it skipped him. I saved Claire, so it skipped her. But nobody saved me." And so Alex is like just kind of having bad vibes listening to John Denver. And that's not a joke, by the way. That's a recurring theme in the movie. And so he's trying to leave, but a bus almost squishes him with a sign. But Carter saves him. And Carter was like, "Now you've been saved. Now it skips you. What happens now?" And Alex is like, "Well, maybe it goes back to the start." And he goes, "Who's that?" And then it swings and fucking squishes him. And that's the end of the movie.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Now I got some fun facts. There are a lot. I did pre-read a bunch of them, and I'm not going to give all of them because IMDb, no spoilers, has 44.
Good Lord.
And so I'm going to give you the best of what I already pre-read. But before that, this movie came out in 2000. It's directed by James Wong, who is most known for X-Files. And then he also directed Black Christmas. And this movie stars Devon Sawa as Alex, most known for Casper, Idle Hands, Little Giants. Then we've got...
Do you know what Idle Hands is?
No.
So I don't believe the exact... I don't know if this is the exact plot, but basically his hand becomes possessed and he gets into some zany hijinks.
Oh, we've talked about this, yeah.
Like he slaps a woman's ass, but it's his hand that's possessed. So, everyone blames him now. Bizarre choice to have him be your serious lead.
All right, so then Clear is played by Ali Ladder. Do you know what she's from?
Well, Final Destination 2.
She's in Resident Evil.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. She's, Claire, right? Wait, what?
She's in...
Yeah, she's Claire Redfield. She plays Clear and Claire? What the fuck?
To be fair, throughout this entire movie, I thought they were saying Claire instead of Clear.
I had subtitles on, so I was under no such...
I also had subtitles on, but I wasn't paying attention to them that much. But, yeah. So I saw she was in Resident Evil. I was like, ooh, I wonder if Carter will know right away. Then we've got Kerr Smith, who plays Carter. Do you know who Kerr Smith is from?
Yes, he was in the... Wait. The Valentine's Day Massacre 3D. I had to look that up.
Oh, man. My Bloody Valentine, yeah. He's also from Dawson Creek and Cruel Intentions 3.
Jesus Christ. Cruel Intentions 3.
Then we've got Sean William Scott, who plays Billy.
You might know him from Goon.
Is that what you know him from?
I'm trying to think. Where do I know him from? He was
he's in...
Stifter in American Pie.
Yes, he's in American Pie.
Stifler?
The first one, second one, Reunion, Wedding. He's also in Dude, Where's My Car? Role Models.
Essentially every stoner comedy ever.
Yeah. And then Amanda Demeter plays Terry.
Dukes of Hazzard. Super Troopers 2. Oh, I'm not ready to give up on Sean William Scott.
Okay,
Let's keep doing.
Going, keep going.
Country Mac from Always Sunny. He was Ted from Just Before I Go, which isn't as popular. You probably don't know him from that. That was a serious one. He's Crash from Ice Age.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
You were very excited to list him, and
I mean, he's been in a lot of silly stuff.
I guess I just don't watch enough silly stuff.
You gotta watch more stoner comedies.
I guess I do. All right, so Amanda Deemer plays Terry, and she's known for... She has a role in Big Fat Liar, and then a bunch of other stuff I didn't recognize. Kristen Cloak plays the teacher, and also she's in Black Christmas, and then a bunch of stuff I don't recognize. And then Todd is played by Chad Donella, and they were in Saw 3D, and from the unreleased very first episode we recorded, Disturbing Behavior.
Oh, when you said Cruel Intentions, I thought that was Disturbing Behavior.
No!
You can see why I thought that, though. It's basically the same thing.
Looking at them next to each other, they are exactly the same, like, movie poster-wise. But no, he is in Disturbing Behavior. Anyways, that's the cast. Now let's move on to some facts. I'll do my best. So originally this storyline was going to be an episode for X-Files, but they decided to make a movie instead. The exterior of Mrs. Luton's house was built in 5 days, and they filmed in Vancouver, and the residents thought it was really too nice to burn down, so they didn't. In the opening scene when Alex was asleep, he was supposed to be pretending to be asleep, but he actually fell asleep for 4 hours. No one decided to wake him up.
What the fuck?
That being said, the shot of Alex's bedside clock, which fades from 1 a.m. to 180, took 5 days to correct.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So a lot of the news footage is actual footage from the July 1996 explosion and crash of Flight 800 off of Long Island, New York, which is actually where this takes place, in Long Island, or where they're from. So, speaking of the
What a hilarious concept, then, to be like, road trip to like, literally the
Yankee
city
Stadium.
that you cannot pass by you cannot leave Long Island without passing pretty close to New York. What an insane thing to say.
It's wild. So, back to the Alka-Seltzer scene that threw us off. So they actually had to extend the scene because when they did test shots of it, viewers were like way too shocked by Terry's death that they were like, all right, we need more like static before more action. So they extended the Alka-Seltzer scene. It's probably why Claire also has one, or Clear.
Yeah. I still can't get over the fact that Ali Larder played Claire and Clear. And, like, legitimately, those might be her two most famous roles.
So in the scene where the knife impales the teacher, the actress was put under a fake wooden floor with a silicone body on top. This was so that the knife could impale the character without injuring the actor. And the piece of glass that went into her neck was done backwards. They shot the glass being yanked away from her neck with a line. It was digitally erased. So Todd is spelled Tod in the movie, which in German means death.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And then also,
I'm gonna take that off my bad. His name was spelled T-O-D. I
that
actually
was
like
actually
that.
on your bed.
Yeah.
Todd foreshadows his own death while aboard the plane after Krista Marsh and Blake Dreyer ask Alex whether or not they could switch. Todd makes choking motions with his hands.
That's actually really interesting. I'm gonna skip ahead a bit to the good. You know that in what's her name, Miss Lawton's death, when she bends over to pick up, I don't know, something she dropped, she has a stained glass window of a knife pointing down at her when she leans over to pick it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's interesting. So the song Into the Void by Nine Inch Nails is playing on Carter's car radio right before Terry's death. That is, of course, the song that contains the words Final Destination. What else? There was one that I really liked. Oh, all the names of the characters are based off of old horror actors, directors, all that good stuff. So Terry Chaney is named after Lon Chaney.
I honest to God thought you were just gonna leave it at that.
No!
It's named after people. Anyway.
Todd Wagner after director George Wagner, Alex Browning after Todd Browning, Larry Moreneau after director F.W. Moreneau, who directed Nosferatu, Agent Schreck after Max Schreck, who starred in Nosferatu, Blake Dreyer after Carl Theodore Dreyer, who directed Vampire in 1932, Howard Siegel after director Don Siegel, and who directed Dirty Harry, and then Billy Hitchcock after Alfred Hitchcock, and Larry Luton after horror film producer Val Luton.
Mm-hmm. I don't know for a fact that this is one, but it's possible that Carter was named after X-Files writer Chris Carter. That would have...
Honestly,
James Wong would have known him.
It's probably more of like a call to his buddy that he writes X-Files with.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is my name origin. Not Jimmy Carter, not NFL player Chris Carter, the Chris Carter who wrote the X-Files.
So, hold on. Side note. My parents watched the show Claim to Fame, where it's like relatives of famous people compete in a show.
I know what you're talking about. Jimmy Carter's grandson, right?
Yes, it was on I walked in and like my parents were watching and it got revealed and I was like, oh, Jimmy Carter. I was like, Carter loves collecting Jimmy Carter memorabilia.
I do. I have a Jimmy Carter campaign watch and it's really horrific to look at. It's like his head is a giant peanut and his legs are the hands of the clock and they just twist around at these horrible angles.
I hate it.
Any more facts?
Yes, a couple more, and then I'll cut it off. So the music played throughout the film was by John Denver, who's a musician who died in a plane crash a couple years before this film was made. And then, last but not least, the original actors who were supposed to play Alex and Clear was Tobey Maguire and Kristen Durst.
No! I was gonna guess that! Holy shit. And then what, they did Spider-Man instead?
They did Spider-Man.
Much better career move for both of them.
I think there's a little bit of time between this and that, but yeah.
Tobey Maguire was gonna get his Kirsten Dunst kiss no matter what.
I don't even think Clear and Alex kiss in this movie.
I'm sure they did, behind the scenes at least. Like, there must have been a deleted scene. I bet you anything, every movie with a male and female lead records like just one kiss, just in case they get the note that there needs to be a love story involved.
Oh, do you want to know what kind of car Carter drove?
A Chevy Impala.
Incorrect.
Ford F-150.
A 1971 Chevrolet Nova SS. Yeah, there's a lot of facts. Go to IMDb. I think we'll end it there.
Yeah. So, after all that build-up, are you ready to talk about the good parts of this movie?
Yeah.
The good. Dun, dun, dun. I suppose I'd like to start.
Go ahead.
What I love most about this movie is Death as a villain.
Yeah.
Because in this movie, he is never seen, except like there's a shadow they see in reflections sometimes. He's unstoppable. He is unfightable. They don't even entertain the idea that they could summon and fight him or whatever. And he's inevitable. It's just beyond, like... It's just a foregone conclusion that they will die, and they are just buying time. Until the end of the movie, where it becomes clear that it's going to keep going until they all die. Their only hope was just to outlast.
Yeah, I really liked the concept of this movie. I'm glad they made the full movie instead of just the episode for X-Files. I feel like wouldn't have been as good. But yeah.
And then on top of that, whenever there was a death scene, it would the camera work would become a lot more mobile. The wind would pick up, and it would just, everything about the scene would imply unseen, moving, flying thing. It was really cool. Which is part of, I'm gonna give it away more of my thoughts here. Part of why I fucking hated the John Denver music is because they did such a good job with letting you know when they were about to die. Like, you could even tell when he was just dicking around in the cabin.
Yeah.
You were never afraid of him dying. You just knew he wasn't going to. But then, the camera would start to move a little bit on someone else, and you'd know their time is up.
Yeah.
So that we didn't need a song to tell us. And that
I
song shouldn't have been by John Denver, even if it was.
They could have just played a John Denver song in the film. It didn't have to be so, big.
Yeah, I liked it in the beginning. Because it was another, thing that your brain just picks up as a, which is moving on to my next point. I loved the plane scene.
Yeah.
Because it just threw so many omens at you, but they were all just, random shit. Things hinting at an auspicious time. The plane's taking off 9/25, which is his birthday, September 25th. He sees, the signs say departed, terminal. John Denver's playing in the airport after dying in a plane crash. It's just bad vibes all around, but nothing that you would actually be like, I'm in danger.
Yeah.
And it really leans into the airport fears, too. I have had that exact same experience, is waking up being like, oh boy, I don't feel good about getting on the plane today.
That's my first thing that I really liked was just the palpable fear that he felt. It just felt real until the vision happened. But then leading into the vision, it just felt you understood that. You know one thing goes wrong on that plane. It's it doesn't matter if it's as small as the tray table doesn't go up all the way. You're gonna crash. That's it. It's over. Get me off this flight. I felt it. I was like, oh yeah, this is real.
Yeah. I loved that.
I kind of wish there was more of that throughout the movie.
That's something that doesn't really come back in the franchise until... 2 does a good job with the beginning. It's this big... I wouldn't even say it's a good job. It was a big pileup. And it was a logging truck that the logs fell off of.
Oh, I have heard of this.
But aside from that, there was nothing scary about it.
Yeah.
They really don't get that, sensation back until the one with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and they're on a roller coaster. That was really the same kind of against my better judgment, I'm gonna do this. But then it just got so, like, ridiculously, like,
Yeah.
it derailed and squished someone. It was just kind of dumb. But,
Yeah.
like, they do one where they're on a bridge. I'm like, I don't get scared on bridges.
Bridges, no. Tunnels, yes.
Yeah, but that would be an interesting one.
That would have actually... That's way better than a bridge.
That's way better than a bridge, yeah.
Like,
So we
imagine...
call James Wong. We got an idea for Final
Like,
Destination, whatever this is.
This is my literal fear every time I drive into Boston, as I'm going to tomorrow and have to take the tunnel, is literally just like hitting traffic, looking up, seeing it crack, and just fall right.
Yeah.
Either on me or like in front of me, just all of it bad. Worse if I'm like moving pretty quickly and it's like, oh, it's gonna come down and I'm gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just even a pile up in a tunnel. Also, all my fears.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like tunnels. Anyways, yeah. So I gotta say, I did like how creative some of the deaths were, or just like I thought they were. I liked the deaths. Some of the deaths. I liked the friend's death where he got choked by the cord. What I really liked about it though was him slipping in the bathtub and like the shampoo like fell and like opened, so like they made the bathtub super slippery so he couldn't grab onto anything to like stand up. And then I also really liked the bus scene. The teacher was just fine.
Yeah.
I liked the head decapitation. That one was fun.
I like the, I also had the kills.
Yeah.
But actually, funny enough, most of the good kills don't happen in this movie. They're in later movies. It starts to, like, figure it out by 2.
Okay.
But the movies, instead of going the Saw route of, like, let's go with the goriest death possible, they start to become a little bit more elaborate.
Ooh.
But they take on this, like... They're very similar to magic tricks in that it'll set something up and then kind of blindside you while you're looking at it. Like the teacher with the knives.
Yeah.
How, like, it looked like she was gonna die from the computer explosion, but then she ends up getting killed by the knife. Most famously, there was one where this guy was in his house, like 10-story building or whatever, throws spaghetti out the window, gets his hand caught in the garbage disposal. A fire starts in his house, and so it looks like he's gonna burn or get his arm chewed off or something, but he gets his hand out and he climbs away to safety, steps on the spaghetti, slips, and then the ladder kills him. It was a whole, like, they mislead you really well.
What movie was that?
Final Destination 2.
Oh, okay. Because I'm remembering a hand in a you know.
I might have made you watch it one point when we were drunk.
No, I think it's a different movie.
Yeah, well,
I think it's a movie we covered where he like literally lost his hand in the garbage disposal.
I don't recall it, but I believe you. I like that the kills were conceivably natural.
Yes. That's also the other thing I liked about them.
The camera work I mentioned would just suddenly switch to, like, an unseen, invisible thing moving around instead of a static shot.
I liked that it was, like, unseen but still noticeable without being obvious. Like, obviously we're panning the camera to see that there's nothing there. But wait, there really is. Like, I thought that was good. There's been some, like, other types of movies or shows that have done this sort of thing where it's like, death is coming for you, but it's always a person, and it's always not good.
Yeah. So I only have a couple goods left.
Okay.
I like the ending. I like that there was this never-ending cycle. It implied there's this never-ending cycle that they...
Okay. I like that aspect of it. But the ending was dumb.
Yeah. The concept of the ending I liked, but I liked that there was a kid named Carter in it. That was pretty cool.
Of course. That's on my bad.
Fuck you. Do you have anything else? Because I have one that...
my last one that I really liked, during the teacher's death, when the fire is kind of going up towards the alcohol, right as it gets to the bottle, you hear the... and it like makes kind of like that sound it makes when you like blow on like a bottle, a glass bottle. I liked that. That really stuck out to me.
I guess I didn't pick up on that. My final good was a really funny line where Sean William Scott is like, "Oh man, I don't want to die before the Jets. I want to die without the Jets winning a Super Bowl." That's a hilarious line because 23 years later, the Jets have not won a Super Bowl. Fuck the Jets. All right, are you ready to talk about the bad?
Yes.
The bad.
Number 1, the New York Jets. I don't know how they're going to do this season, but they have been bad the past 23 years.
My biggest, the CGI in the plane crash scene was rough.
Yeah.
I know it was the 2000s, but it was really rough.
Yeah, she was like, "Don't let me slip into this green screen." It was like, come on.
The practical effects were actually pretty good. They built it on like a stage that kind of shakes. And then as soon as they filmed it, they disassembled it and built Clear's upstairs hallway on it. Which was one of the facts I didn't share earlier. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, the CGI was horrible.
The scene in which Todd dies, the water getting sucked back in, defeats the entire purpose of the movie. Like, there's no reason for any plot purpose for anyone to think Todd killed himself. It just added nothing that couldn't have been added by he died tragically.
Also, water being on the floor doesn't necessarily mean he, like, slipped and it was an accident instead of, like...
Yeah. It's a bathroom. There's water on the floor always.
Yeah. Also, he's like, there would have been no, like, footprints. Like, it just... I don't know.
Yeah, I literally... The movie would be twice as good if they just cut out that small 5-second scene of the water going, like, magically back up the faucet.
Yeah. It's just
stupid.
Yeah, it was dumb. There were a lot of like kind of freeze moments, it was like a pause for laughter, but without the laughter part. It was very like, for example, especially in the opening scene. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, when they're packing up the suitcase and she rips the luggage tags off and like it freezes on her hands and then it freezes on his face and he's like,
yeah, it does the slow mo of the tag drifting to the ground.
Yeah, but then also when he picks up the knife and he's like, freeze frame, like it just, there were a lot of those moments that I was like, if this was a comedy, like maybe it would be fun, but it's not. It's not even like a horror comedy. It's just.
The movie isn't funny and it keeps making jokes. Like,
exactly.
And it keeps breaking the tension. But there's, it breaks the tension with a joke that isn't even funny.
Yeah.
Is like, he's staring at a plane and Todd comes up and goes, "Yo, man, let's take a shit together."
Also, why were there 2 pooping scenes with Todd?
Yeah.
Like, unnecessary. Both of them were unnecessary.
There was way too much pooping and jerking off in this movie.
Oh, gross.
I said USA Today, but... if you've listened for this long, you can be rewarded by knowing that the magazine that Alex was reading was Penthouse.
Is that a bad? Is it?
Nah, well, I mean, it was too much. It's not like the existence of the magazine was bad. It was just a lot of guys pooping and looking at porn. It just wasn't very interesting to me.
One thing I really didn't like, I didn't really like Clear as a character, but more specifically when she takes him into her garage and shows him like the head on the spring and is like, "This is how you make me feel."
It's the ugliest fucking metal sculpture I've ever seen in my life. It looks like if I tried to weld pieces of metal together and was like, "It's art."
It's just like, that's her way of flirting, and I'm like, how did they even maintain a friendship, never mind a potential relationship? Yeah.
There's a scene in which they're like trying to justify why they should be alive, and they're like, maybe so we can help more people. And I'm like, you can just want to be alive. That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to explain to me why.
Desire to live is a human emotion.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I took that for granted.
The dialogue in this movie is not great. There's some really dumb, stupid quotes that make me laugh, but at the same time, I'm like, we get it. You want to live. Like, okay, we get it. For some reason, Carter just constantly feels like he needs to be in control. And it was just like the dumbest personality trait I've ever witnessed. Which is what made me write that note as a bad.
They, in the climax of the movie, he's trying to get the electric cable off of Claire's car, and he's, like, fighting with it, like, physically taking swings at the bouncing cable. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
He tries, like, to beat it with a shovel.
Yeah.
Which is useless. The Final Destination song playing in the car.
That was a little over the top.
A little.
So the foreshadowing in the beginning I liked because it was a lot of, like, just bad energy. Nothing that you could be like, this means I'm gonna die on a plane. The rest of the movie was, like, just really stupid. Like, he looks down and sees a ripped seatbelt, and then it's not ripped, and he's like, it must have something to do with the seatbelt. I'm like, you're just giving away information here.
Yeah. My last thing, and I'm sure there's more. This is just the last thing I wrote down. There's no way they didn't get hit by the train.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't look past that movie magic, BS, whatever. No.
Yeah.
What else you got? I know you got more.
Clear.
Yeah.
I just hated that.
Who names... I honestly, as I was driving up, I was like, who names their child Clear?
I still can't believe that she then went on to play a character named Claire. It's like, it's her redemption arc, basically.
I'm pretty sure they pronounced it Claire, but I just don't see how Clear gets pronounced Claire.
Claire.
Claire?
What did I say there? Claire.
Stop!
No, you tell me. What did I say? Here, I'll do it again. This time you guess this one. Claire.
I hate it. Stop it. Stop it right now.
So, you ready to talk about the spooky?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if you were done.
I am done.
Perfect.
The spooky!
I don't have much. There wasn't a lot of spooky.
It kind of wasn't a horror movie.
Yeah, it's kind of just like people get picked off and that's it.
It's like a bad supernatural drama.
Yeah. But the bus scene, where she just gets hit by a bus out of nowhere. Loved it.
It's pretty good. I liked the eye blood. There's when Todd's choking.
Ooh,
There's
yeah.
a close-up of him, like, trying to pull the wire away from his neck, and his eyes fill with blood. That was pretty...
That was a good moment.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. Is that it?
And then there was one line where Sean William Scott says, like, describing why the police think that Alex is a murderer. He's like, the fire caramelized the blood, and it like, preserved your fingerprints, and I just loved that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think I missed that line, but that's sick. Yeah.
All right.
Overall impressions? Oh, no. Memorial Line High.
No,
Oh, okay.
overall impressions. Jesus Christ. It's a shitty movie. I forgot how bad it is.
But it's fun.
It was fun. It's a really creative concept, and it
Yeah.
spawned more fun movies, but it's kind of a bad movie. Unlike a lot of franchises where the first movie is the only good one, this is like... It starts pretty mediocre.
It created a platform in which to build upon. Guarantee you in at least 3 years, they're going to be making a new Final Destination movie that's going to be, like, super horror, super good.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be like Final Destination 6. It's gonna be like Final Destination 1, the remake, whatever.
Yeah, they're gonna remake
Origin or some whatever stupid thing.
Oh god, I would lose it if they did an origin. There shouldn't be an origin.
No, there shouldn't be an origin, but it's like just reset, like what they did with Scream, where instead of Scream 5, it's just Scream.
Which they also shouldn't do. They should just make another Final Destination.
Right.
Devon Sawa is a terrible choice. especially because this was the peak of his like silly movie era.
Yeah.
Fucking Sean William Scott was a bizarre choice.
Also,
It just was
the cast was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to... Okay, wait. This is one more fact I forgot to include that I think I should. Originally, this movie was actually supposed to be about 7, like, strangers. But because of... During the 2000s, like, teen slashers were really popular, they made it about students in a class. Yeah.
That makes sense. And you know what? I think they reused that plot for Final Destination 2. Because...
Was it about strangers?
Yeah. Yeah, they're all just people in the car.
That's fair. That's... Yeah.
So the line I chose was delivered by Sean William Scott several times in the movie. He said, "Carter, you dick." That's it.
I already said the line I chose, which was, "This is how you make me feel," in reference to the... I can't get over it. She has no appeal to me.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. Yeah, overall, oh, I forgot to have my overall impressions.
Usually you don't have them.
I usually have limited ones.
Okay.
I always say something after you do.
Okay.
I think you tune me out most of
Maybe.
the time. It's a subpar movie.
Doing my
It's-
mental victory lap when you start talking.
It's great entertainment in terms of like silly, stupid movie background noise, which I feel like I have to say about most movies we watch anyways.
Yeah.
Most people do.
So I
That's
gave
it.
it 4.5, just awful metal sculptures.
Yeah, I gave it a 5 survivors. It's very mid.
You know there were 2 survivors in the movie, right?
5 plane crash survivors. And yes, I know there were 7. I can't give this movie a 7,
Yeah,
Carter.
you're right. So... where were
5
you-
survivors minus the teacher and Todd.
5 dead people.
Oh, yeah. Math.
All
All right. Fine.
So, what are we watching next week?
Oh, shoot.
Wanna lie and tell them we're about to watch Cobwebs again?
I was just going to say
Yeah.
Cobwebs.
I'm sure it's gonna be in theaters now.
Is there a movie coming out? Oh, didn't you want to watch the vampire movie? The Last Voyage of the Demeter?
Demeter, and yes.
Demeter. We can do that one.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so
Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. There's a movie coming out called Till Death Do Us Part, but the movie poster says Final Destination on it.
oh, Jesus.
And I was like,
That'd be wild.
yeah, it just would have been wild. That's all.
Yeah, let's check out Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Sure. That sounds good.
Yeah, because right now the only other option appears to be Meg to the Trench.
I'm not going to watch that.
I actually did watch it. It's
How
pretty
was
good.
it? Oh, was it?
I mean, I went in knowing it was going to be like a Ocean Fast and the Furious movie, and I was right. They fight sharks. It was cool, but
yeah.
I knew there was no literary value to it.
This Till Death Do Us Part one actually looks pretty good.
We'll discuss it later. Anyway.
That means no.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right.
Happy birthday, Carter.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. Feel free to add us on Instagram or send us an email at horrorsuckspodcast.com at gmail.com or check out our website horrorsucks.com or check out our YouTube and
Stay spooky.
Horror Sucks is brought to you by Wild Thing Media. Editing